Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our reaction and review for The Walking Dead Dead City Season 1, Episode 4. We're at an interesting point in the story right now, and I think to get really big picture here, and we'll break things down into little minutia and individual events and everything else. The show is visually very cool. I think they're
Oh, yes.
doing a lot of cool stuff with the zombies. We had some real carnage in this episode. I think
Mhm.
this show it's doing a decent job at playing a lot of the hits. And yet I'm sort of sitting here at this point and I'm prefacing it by saying all this other stuff because I don't want anybody in the comments to like misinterpret this as a let's get out the hacksaw and just start like
Ah!
whacking the show into its very core, because that's not what I want to do. It's just I'm sitting here being like, you guys could do so much more. You guys have so much potential. This show right now feels like there are 20 people in there constantly saying what should or should not be done. That this is being like executive noted to death. And I just want a little bit more. I will get more into it. That's just sort of my big picture thinking here.
Yeah, I mean, they found a way to fix one of the problems that I had with the original Walking Dead in the later seasons, which is that the walkers just didn't mean anything anymore. Everyone had kind of figured out how to live with them, and they weren't really a threat. It was the humans that were the threat, and that was sort of the overall arc of the show as well. But it's still they should mean something. Like, it still should be some kind of a threat, and they have figured out how to do that in New York City. I mean, it's a very dense
Yeah.
city. It's hard to get away from the walkers. There's so many people that were living there, so the swarms of them are just so large that it makes it almost impossible to get away from them. And they've done a very good job this season bringing up the danger of the walkers and just how difficult they really can be to battle. But the actual Negan and Maggie story of where it's like, here's these two characters. They both have things that they're facing that they both want to grow from. And we're just getting such little bits of it that I'm just like, we only have 6 episodes. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm tuning in for. I'm tuning in to watch the Maggie character grow because she needs to have something else going on besides she's the angry widow, because we've been watching that for like a decade. It's been going on for so long
Yeah.
now. There needs to be some sort of movement in her character. And then we have this setup with Negan that's, oh, he's going to be facing his past. What's he going to do? How's he going to feel? And we're 4 episodes in, and it's been so lightly scratched. Like, it really hasn't happened yet. And this particular episode, I was really expecting to see him face himself in this way that we just haven't really seen, and it wasn't there.
Well, we'll get a little bit more into what's going on there, why they're not showing us that. I've got a larger rant that will either make people very mad at me, which is fine. I have my hard hat on. I'm prepared for all of it.
Hard hats on, guys.
Or who knows? Maybe you might agree.
You
There's
might.
interesting analogies abound within this video, but of course, we've got so much more on The Walking Dead Dead City
Mhm.
beyond just what we have on YouTube. If you head over to our Patreon, there's a link to that in the description down below.
Mhm.
You can see some exclusive video content over there about Dead City. We really appreciate everyone who is supporting us over there. It helps to keep this channel going.
Yes, we really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who has joined our Patreon.
Okay, let's just start though by picking up on what you were just talking about, where they're really scratching the surface for a lot of different storylines that are clearly very important. And this isn't my primary take, but it does feel a lot like they already feel like they want to have this show go on for like 3 or 4 seasons. And so they're very much in the, okay, we don't want to give you everything right now. We want to give you like an appetizer, and we're going to make you sit around and wait for the main course.
Okay, well, if that is the case, then we didn't need to see by episode 4 sort of the face to face with the Croat, because that's what I think a lot of us were waiting
Yeah.
for to see. We saw Negan already do his reign of blood and I'm back and all of that sort of thing to sort of send this message to the
Yeah.
Croat that he's still this guy. He should still be fearful of him. You know, he's coming for him. All that sort of like big bravado that Negan used to have, and that he wanted to show that he still has if he needs. But he's had this conversation with Maggie a little bit in this episode where she's like, "Hey, like, are you ready for this?" And he's like, "Honestly, no." Like, and it's not because the Croat wants to kill me, because, you know, everybody wants to kill me. Like, that's not my problem. My bigger problem is I'm worried about facing myself and some of the things that I've participated in my own past. What am I going to see when I look at him? What am I going to feel when I look at him? And I was like, yeah, like, what is that going to be like? That's a really interesting, deeper angle for this show to take. Reminds me of very early on Walking Dead episodes where it was very deep, character driven, so good, so good. Then we finally get to this meeting, and it's more about the Croat and how he feels, where it's like, "Oh, my brother, we're back. Like, yeah, you took my ear. I don't care. I have another one. Like, let's do this again. This is new sanctuary. You know, I've got people. You're here. Cool. Let's roll, man." I was like, "Oh, wow. I don't know if I believe him, but at the same time, it felt very genuine from him, where he's still living that lifestyle. He's still living the savior's lifestyle." So, you know, it kind of makes sense at that point that he'd be like, it's an ear, but I got my brother back. Let's do this. Let's take this city together, man. I was like, all right, cool. Let's see what
Yeah.
Negan has to say about it. Nothing. He's not really giving me what I thought I was going to get, which is his own self-reflection, looking at the Croat, hearing what he's saying, having more of a response. He's just not doing anything. He's not shooting him, taking care of the situation. He's just asking for Herschel and then saving the Marshal. And I was just like, oh, wah, wah, wah. Like, what happened here, guys?
Okay, it's one of two things. It's either the hypothesis I posed earlier, which is just that this show wants to go on for many years, and so they're saving a lot of different things. But I want to believe it's the latter, because I think the latter is more fascinating, and that is this idea that it's one thing for Negan to say that, you know, he's prepared to face the Croat and he's prepared for whatever is going to be coming up, but I think it's something totally different to actually have to face a version of yourself in a way that you thought you were ready for, but then you see it and you're really not, and then you get into sort of like this internalized panic where it's just like, oh my gosh, was I really, really like this? It's sort of like you're at a party and, like, you know, everybody else feels like you're the annoying person at a party, and then you never see it, but then you see somebody else that's really annoying, and then you're like, wait, am I that person? Am I really annoying? And I think if he was struggling with that notion, I think that's a more interesting angle for the story to take. I wish they would explicitly say it a little bit more.
Yeah, that's it, is that I just didn't really get anything from Negan. I didn't know how he was feeling at all. There wasn't enough dialogue, expression on his face. Maybe they just wanted to only focus on the Croat and not really give us a lot of Negan. But I'm not here for the Croat. I'm here for Negan. I'm here for Maggie. I want to see these two characters, you know, start to move in different directions. I want to see Negan facing his own decisions, choices, who he used to be. Does he want to be that person anymore? Is that person still in him? Like, I want to see all of that. It just wasn't present in this scene. And I think he would have had some kind of reaction.
All right. It's time. Okay.
It's rant time. Here we go.
It's rant time. So
here we go.
This is the thing, everybody. We've all been here for this franchise for a very long time. And they have done like these big jaw-dropping moments before in the past. The Walking Dead franchise, for one that is as, you know, it purports itself to be chaotic and just like jaw-dropping and full of all these just really just macabre scenes. It is so unbelievably safe. It is at this point now where it feels like the larger IP is being so protected by whether it is this show, the Daryl show, like the Rick limited series, like all this other stuff, that every single show is being so careful and tiptoeing around what it can and can't do, that it's giving us a product which, despite what we're seeing on screen, which is, full of all these zombie battles and all of this sort of stuff, Negan raining blood, like all that, it is so sanitized. And it just makes me sort of sit a lot and think about, I know how hard it has to be in 2023 to develop and produce something that is a part of a larger world, a larger universe, like
Mhm.
established IP. Like Marvel is having this same exact problem right now, where it's just like, we've all seen so many different things like this before. And I want to have my eyebrows burned off by what I'm seeing on these shows.
You want to have your hair blown back.
That is, I don't have hair to be blown back. This is all I got. See, but I want this franchise to do that again. I want them to take chances, and it is a rarer thing to do in television these days. I mean, even like Star Wars, same problem. Mandalorian season 3. Yeah, we all love Baby Yoda, but like, is there enough going on beyond
Yes,
Grogu
you
and
do.
Mando and all that other stuff? But it's sort of like, you look at Succession, you look at Yellow Jackets, like two shows that we cover here on the channel. Heck, I've complained about this show for the past 3 weeks. I'm not going to stop. Even The Idol.
What?
The Idol is terrible. It is an absolute atrocity. However, I will say this. At least it's original. At least it tried something. It tried something and it failed dramatically, but it tried something. I want The Walking Dead to try something. Okay, here's the funniest comparison of all, everybody. The Barbie movie. Nobody has seen the Barbie movie yet, but it looks fun. It looks like,
It does
what?
actually look fun.
It looks like they took a chance. It looks like, Mattel was like, okay, Greta Gerwig, guess what? We believe in you. We're going to let you do something weird and postmodern and fun with this IP that people have loved for a really long time. That is proof that you can do this. So Walking Dead, I know all of you 30 people, I've upped it. It was 20 earlier in the video.
Now the writer's room is just getting bigger, bigger, bigger.
Everybody involved in this franchise, do something. Push the envelope. Surprise us. Like, everything on this show is well polished and well intentioned. I think the showrunner does care, but it is very much expected. Every single thing is very much expected. And I feel like you guys can do so much more. And that's my biggest bummer right now is, I'm enjoying the show, but I'm not going to remember it. I want to remember it.
I think part of the issue that maybe we're having is that we just did watch all these shows like Succession, which took big swings, Yellow Jackets, if you're not watching that show takes all the biggest swings. Silo, like that ending was like, that blew my hair back. It's just, there's so many shows out there that are sort of in this same genre of sort of, another type of universe. It's a bit of a darker universe. And yeah, it doesn't have the same big IP behind it that The Walking Dead does. I mean, it's had, the comic book, the show, like all these spinoffs. Like, yes, I understand it's an important IP, but at the same time, this show has played it safe for years. Like, the last few seasons of The Walking Dead were so predictable of everything that was going to happen, who we were never going to lose. Like, it was just sort of the same thing over and over. And I think we mentioned this a couple of videos ago. There was like a season where a character died, and I was like, I don't even know who this guy is. And I looked him up. It's like, oh, he's been in 30 episodes. Meh. Like, it just didn't matter anymore because it was kind of a rinse and repeat. You knew that the main character, nothing was going to happen to the main characters. Like, it was really just a very safe show by the end. And it's feeling that way here as well. Like, we had the whole big scene that was so cool in the arena with Maggie and the group and all the walkers. I was like, oh man, like, this is really intense. But of course, Maggie's going to get out of it. I was like, yeah, okay, she's going to get out of it, but how is she going to get out of it? But it's like, okay, but we've seen this before. Big, crazy scenes where Maggie always gets out of it. So it's like, what is this particular show going to bring us that's different? And the thing that it could have brought us that's different, and it's been scratching the surface on, is character development with
Yeah.
Maggie, with Negan. And we've seen it just a tiny bit last episode and a tiny bit this episode where they are leaning into each other more. And I don't just mean like, I trust you to keep me safe. I trust you not to just let me drop kind of thing. Because we've seen them in that position before as well, where,
Yeah.
you know, Maggie was in danger of getting killed and Negan was like, yeah, you know, we've seen that before. I'm talking more emotionally where they have leaned on each other, where he's like, hey, I'm here for you. I'll listen to you. I'll share this with you. And he did it in this episode too, where she's like, hey, you ready for this? You okay? No, honestly, I'm not okay. And this is why. And he shared that with her. And I was like, okay, that's growing, but more of that. That's what I'm here for.
I'm here for emotional development. There's a lot that can be mined there that's really, really interesting. You can get some big creative swings that come out of that. Note that I'm not going down the crazy they need to hook up sort of lane. I've seen that online. That's not what
they don't.
No.
Not everybody needs to hook up. You can just have a complicated relationship get better.
Yeah, like that's great. That's something you guys can develop. Also, another big swing. How about Maggie becomes a monster? Like, how about you do something really dark with that character? I mean, think about what she's gone through. Is it that
She's done some dark things.
Yeah, she has. But like, can you go harder, more aggressive? Be afraid to make some people mad with what Maggie is doing, where they lose sympathy for her. Because you know what? That's good storytelling. It's good storytelling to challenge your audience and make them think something different about the characters you've come to know. Like they thought about it with Negan and, you know, with Negan and Annie and like that relationship that went nowhere and Annie's not even on the show or whatever else. But like they just chickened out of their own premise of this idea of can Negan move on romantically, but they were so afraid to really commit to it that they just sort of like half-heartedly did it at the end of The Walking Dead and then realized it wasn't good. But that could have been a risk as well. But they didn't opt to go in that direction either. And it's sort of like these sort of things are what's kind of putting The Walking Dead in sort of the middle of the road. And it's like the Croat is a pretty good villain. Like, you know, he's interesting to watch. I think he's well acted. I think he's fairly well written. Is he so far out of the realm of what we already expect from this show? No, he's not.
No, he's not. But I mean, I'm curious to see where it goes now that the Croat has realized that Negan has changed. And I think it's just, I expected it to stretch out a little bit longer. I know there's only 6 episodes and probably more on the horizon, but like I expected that the Croat was not going to realize that Negan had changed for a little bit longer. Maybe the next episode, maybe the finale where he had that aha moment where he throws the marshal over. Hey, I'm going to do you a favor. This guy's bothering you. I'm going to take care of that for you as a gesture of good faith to show you that I am exactly what I'm saying I am. We're brothers. I'm here for you over the railing. And then to watch his face as he watched Negan try to pull him up and save him, and his face was just pure betrayal, where he's just like, this is not the same Negan that I knew. He's not my brother anymore. I felt like I got more out of the Croat, who I just am not invested in yet. It's only a couple episodes, you know, than I did from Negan, who I am completely invested in.
I think a fascinating kind of question that comes from that is, okay, how much of the Croat is going to exist beyond this season? Like, did you guys mean for him to be a one season foe? Is he going to be around in season 2? If so, how do you keep making these characters interact so that they're not like taking each other out? It would be like the problem with doing an Obi-Wan Kenobi season 2, where it's like, how many times can you have Obi-Wan and Vader like face off before
100? Please bring me another season. Oh my God.
It's a tricky thing to navigate, though.
No, you can always have more fights with Vader and Obi-Wan. Oh my God. Oh my God. Put that out into the universe.
Maybe that's what we're doing here at this point. But
okay, I will say that I really liked the flashback and seeing Stephen Ogg back. Like losing Simon, I get it. And for the storytelling, that all made sense. But like that moment of seeing him back, I was just like, yes.
Yeah.
Because going into this, I was like, oh man, I kind of wish he was still around. Like that would have been really cool to see if maybe he did kind of flip over and he's with the Croat, or like what he's doing, like just to see him again. It was so cool.
There are these little potential things that they can pull from the past that I think are interesting, are effective. I mean, because we've already seen Dwight on Fear the Walking Dead, there's not really a need to see him. But Simon, like, okay, who does not love Stephen Ogg? I mean, come
I
on.
know, he's so great.
Yeah, he's so great. He's so interesting. He's so good at playing like this sort of character. So even just like that tiny taste of it was really, really welcome. It's the sort of nostalgia I think we all sort of want from this show. Because, like, that we expect the zombie battles. I don't think any of us are, like, sitting here being like, I am stunned that Jenny is now a part of the story again. At this point, it's like, we've made our feelings about the Jenny character at this point pretty darn clear.
Yeah, but I'm going to say it again. This character just needs to not be here. Like, it's taking away from moments that could have been built on, opening Maggie up or continuing to have Negan face his former self. And like, this Ginny character is doing nothing. She's just distracting everybody. She's conveniently been able to find everybody in the big, one of the biggest cities. It's so unbelievable, and it's not bringing anything to this story. I can't say it enough how disappointed I am in that this character's even on this show, and it's nothing against the actress. It's just not needed.
I wonder if they're going to figure out a way to do that or handle it at the end of this season. If not, maybe you guys will go in a different direction. Like, here's the only advantage I guess I can say to you guys playing it as safe as you have, is that you have set it up so that you haven't wrecked the show yet. You haven't put yourself in a position where there's no turning it back around. You are still in a spot where you can deliver something epic and monumental over these next couple of episodes that really make people be like, oh man, you really got to check out Dead City. I know that you stopped watching The Walking Dead in like season 8 or whatever other point, because a lot of people did, but there's a reason.
A lot of us did.
There's a reason to get back into it. That's what you need to be saying if you're AMC right now. Like, there was pretty much, it felt like half of humanity at one point was watching this show. And I understand that's an exaggeration. I don't care. It's just that dipped off, and I think the biggest reason it dipped off is because people felt like it wasn't going anywhere.
It wasn't going anywhere. They just didn't have enough skin in the game. Like, you knew that the main characters weren't going to die, and we're still in that same situation. Like, they're not going to kill off Maggie or Negan, and I get that, and that's fine. But then there needs to be something else going on with it. I was even just talking to my friend today, Katie, who's another YouTuber here at TK Top Tunes, and she was just like, is this a show that I should check out? Like, I really did enjoy Walking Dead, but by the end it was, getting a little bit, slower, whatever. And it was hard for me to say yes or no. I was just like, yeah, I think it's worth giving a try. But at the same time, it's like, it is very safe. It's very safe. So if you were fine with the last few seasons of Walking Dead, you'll be fine with this as well.
Since you mentioned it earlier, I think the From comparison is great, because I think if somebody went up to one of us and was like, should I consider giving From a try? That would be our reaction. Like, we would be losing our minds and be like, yes, what are you doing? Stop talking. Go and watch the show now.
Absolutely. Yeah. When people are looking for shows to watch these days, these are the types of shows. From, Silo, Yellow Jackets. Like, if you're looking for sort of this dark dystopian type feeling show, those are the shows. It's like, if Walking Dead, Dead City was part of this, 4 of shows, it's last on the list. Like, comparatively to these other shows that are taking huge swings, no characters are safe. Like, it is just out there.
Just be more like the Barbie movie, guys.
Oh, Lord.
No, but I think this show can get there. Like, I'm not giving up on it. I agree. I think it's got a lot of potential still. I think you can see the effort that's there. Everybody involved really cares about these characters. So I think there's still a chance that we can see things build. I don't know if it's going to be in these final 2 episodes of this season or down the road. I mean, we will be here to talk all of it out, of course, but
absolutely.
As we mentioned earlier, join our Patreon. Our link is in the description below. We've got all sorts of exclusive Walking Dead, Dead City coverage over there.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much, everyone who is supporting us over there on
Thank
Patreon. We
you.
really appreciate it. And we'll see you here next time.